All right, welcome back to another practical lesson. So this is the fifth one. If you go to the exercise folder, O7 practical folder, O705, you will see the details for this design. So this is a children's book design, and it's titled Let's Play Puzzles for 7 to 12 age group. So I'm going to open Photoshop and I'm going to create a new document. So I'm going to select 300 CMYK, and for something like this, it's always bigger than. So I'm going to choose 2007 by 2005, or let me just select inches and make it 9 by 11.5 inches. So this is going to be around 27 by 3450 pixels. So let's leave it at inches, 9 by 11.5, 300 CMYK. So we're going to assume this is an educational book. So I'm going to add a background color. So this time around, I'm not going to paint the background. Instead, I'm going to select the rectangular tool and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to use that as the background. So that's another way to do it. So you can just have another layer on the background layer, and then you can paint that layer and make that the main or the background, and the way you have the other background. So you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to color it. So I'm going to give it a color, or let me just enter a particular color that I want. So I'm going to have 76D0EE. So, and that will give me that particular color. So now I have my color. Now I'm not going to use any images for this design, so I'm just going to use shapes. So I'm going to draw out a circular shape. So I'm going to select the ellipse tool. So I will select the ellipse tool and I'm going to draw out a circle. So you can hold down the shift or option key to make sure that it's actually perfectly circular in shape. So now I have it on a new layer. I'm going to double click that and I'm going to give it a white color. So now you can see that. So another way to, so let me just drag it and put it into position. So I make sure it's centered, but right here at the top, like so. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center it. So I'll select both layers and then center it so it's perfectly centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this particular circle. So I'm going to click Ctrl J or Command J to duplicate that, so you can see it's duplicated. So, and I'm going to Ctrl T or Command T, and I'm going to hold down the Shift and Alt key and increase the size. So now the fill, I'm going to make it 0. So there's no fill, but I'm going to give it a stroke. So I will go here and select stroke, and then I will give it a size, maybe size 4 is fine. And of course the color of the stroke, I'll make it white. Of course I just wanted to have a stroke, no fill, nothing. So we have that ring on the outside. So the next thing is I will start adding the details. So what I'm going to do first is to add some shapes. So I will go to the custom shape tool, and then I will get some puzzle shapes. Since the title of the book is all about puzzles, so I'm going to select some puzzle shapes. I think there are about 4 or 5 puzzle shapes. So if you can't get any puzzle shape, you can go online and download. No, we have some, and I'm going to use puzzle 1 up to puzzle 4. So I'm going to select one of them and I'm going to draw it out. So I'll select the first one and I'll draw out the puzzle, something like this, holding down the Shift or the Option key, and then we have a new layer, and I'm going to give it a color. So I can just rotate, then drag and put it into position. and check. So I'm going to double click that and then give it a color. So I'm going to give it this color and click on OK. So it's not showing right now, and I know the reason why, and that's because the fill before the fill is 0, so I need to make sure that I activate the fill. And then so I'll go back to the custom, then I'll go back fill, I'll make sure that I actually give it a color, and then the stroke, I will click on this to make sure that it has no stroke. So we have a color fill with no stroke. So I'm going to do that for the other one. So I'll go back up. So I'm going to double click again and then maybe change the color to something maybe a little pinky or something like that. So then click on OK, and I think I like that color. So I'm going to pick the second one and I'm going to drag it out, hold down the Shift or Option key, and of course I can Control T or Command T and resize that, and then change the color right here using the property panel. So I'll give it a yellow, and then the move tool, I can move into position. Control T and then rotate and then drag into position. Then I'll do that for the rest. Maybe I need to do 2 more. So custom, select the third one, drag it out, and then in the properties panel, I'll give it, I can click on that and maybe give it a specific color. So I'm going to choose this color, maybe F2BE6. Then that color looks okay, and then click OK, and then I have something like that. And the last one, the fill, and then maybe something like blue, or I can just give it a specific color, green color. Let me give it a green color. So I have a pink, I have a yellow, I have a green, and I have can rotate that and then check, then I can drag it into position like so. So I think you can just place it however you want. So I'll go back to the custom shape and I'm going to draw out the rectangular tool, hold down the Shift Option key, and I'm going to give that a color, and then I'm going to put that in another, maybe give it a color very close to the color of the background, and then I'm going to drag it to somewhere here on the edge like so. So I could just duplicate that and then drag it to another position. That's Control J or Command J to duplicate. Another one, and I could just scatter everything around the center. So I can choose maybe custom and select some other shapes. So maybe this one, the lightning shape, and I'm going to draw it out. Maybe to put it in 2 positions. So you can do whatever you want. So it's a puzzle book, so we're going to use a lot of puzzle and other shapes, and you can go to you can go on the internet and just download many shapes. So now we are done with that. Now we need to start adding the title. So I will go and maybe group all the puzzles together and then shapes. and then the ellipse 1 and 2, included the background. Maybe I'll put that together. So now let's add the text. The title is Let's Play Puzzle. So I'll put that in 3 lines. Let's, and then give it a color. 143 84C, something like that. And then I'm going to double click, increase the size, or let me change the font to Play Fair Display, and I'm going to increase the size. And of course, the space between the characters too much. I'm going to go to the character panel and I'm going to reduce that to maybe 0, and then make sure that it's not capitalized. Then I can drag it into position like so. Check that. And the next is play. So this time around I'm going to play puzzles. I'm not going to type it in one line, so I'm going to make sure that we have the characters in different layers. So I'm going to type P. I'm going to check that, and then L. So I want to make sure and I'm going to increase the size. So I want to put all the characters in different layers, and that's because I want to change the orientation. Control T, and then I want to do something like that. So, and I'm going to type L. So what I want to do is I want to type the characters in different layers, and I'll show you what I want to do in a moment. So I'm going to type P, then Control T, and then I can, yes, like that, and then L A Y, Control T or Command T on L, and I'm going to rotate it and give it another. So the A, I can make that smaller. So I don't want to make the sizes the same, because this is something like a puzzle, so we can maybe play with each character, make them different sizes, and then change the position. Maybe this one bigger, then Control T or Command T, and then you can maybe this way or this way, and then drag it in position. So just to after all, this is a puzzle, so we can just play with the characters like so. Then puzzles, well, I'm going to do the same thing. What I did with play, I'm going to do that with puzzle, and I'm going to click and P. But this time around, I'm going to use different colors for the puzzle. So let me blow this one up to that, Control T or Command T, and do the same thing. But I'm going to sample colors from the colors of the puzzles. That's the shape. So I can double click and then maybe sample this color. So, and I'm going to repeat that for the other ones. So the type tool U, so I want to make sure it's capital letter, L Z, sorry, then Z again, make that one smaller than the other one, L, E, and the last letter S. So now we have the puzzle. So I'm going to select all of them from P, the move tool, and I'm going to select the U, make that a little bit smaller than the P, and I'm going to give it a different color. So I'll double click and then sample this yellow color and check. The Z, drag that a little bit, yeah, something like that. The other Z, yeah, something like that. So a little bit smaller than the first Z. Then Control T or Command T. Then give it a different color. Maybe a little bit deeper. Or I can make this yellow. Then if the U, I could change the color for the U. I want this color for the U. So then make that green. The L, double click that and make that maybe yellow or a lighter yellow, something like that. And then the E, I would probably just find, drag it and the S, maybe the first color. I'm just trying to give all of them different colors so it looks then maybe something like that. The E, okay, and so I'm going to select all the letters and then I'm going to put them into position. The L, I'm going to drag it down. Then the E, drag it down. Make that smaller. Then change the S, probably gonna do, so I don't want to speed this up, I just want to take my time so you actually so once I'm done with that, I'm going to select all the letters. So I'll click on the first one, Shift, and then I'm going to drag and reduce the size so that it fits. I want it to fit that place, and make sure you hold on the Shift key so that and then I'm going to realize that. Then the play, PLAY, Control T or Command T, then reduce the size because we want them to actually fit. And then I can maybe a little bit smaller, then drag it into somewhere in the middle, and then I'm going to select the puzzles P to the S, and then drag. Maybe I need to get the green puzzle shape, get it out of the way because I don't want it to touch the green. So let me just put all this into position first, then this one, drag it down a little because we want them to be equally spaced. So now if you go back to the shape, then just click on that shape and then we can get that one out of the way so it's not actually touching, and then we have something like that. So this is something like a puzzle. So you can see it looks nice. So we put all the characters on different layers and then we can change the rotation so that it looks like a puzzle or something like that. And that is it. When it comes to design like this, you just have to create something like this. And so since we are talking about puzzles, we need to create something that looks like puzzles. So now I'm done with that. I need to create another ellipse because this is a book for 7-2. So we can, most educational books, they always have the age group, and we need to put that in somewhere on an ellipse. So I'm going to drag it, and then that color is good. So a color from one of the puzzles. So we need to add so we can, maybe this color will look better. So I can sample that color, and then we can just type 7 to ages 7 to 7+, and then we can double click that and reduce the size. We're still going to use, or let me use Montserrat font for this, Montserrat regular, and I'm going to reduce the size 34, 33, 32, maybe 30 or 29 looks good. I'm going to drag that, put it on the, and then I'm going to sample color from, no, maybe the lighter yellow will look good. Yeah, something like that. So, and I'm going to click OK and check. So now we have that. So we need the title or the subtitle. I can change that to, yeah, I think medium will look good. So now the subtitle, the title is Let's Play Puzzles. The subtitle, I can group that together and maybe call it age group or something like that. And now let's type the subtitle, which is Mazes, okay, puzzles for kids. Control C or Command C to copy that and paste. Control V or Command V to paste, and I'm going to puzzle books for kids, double click and give it a color. Let's sample this color, and I can increase the size and drag maybe 33, 34 will look good. And then I'm going to put a line under the text, so I'm going to select the line tool. You can use the line tool, and sometimes you can use the rectangular tool and just make the rectangular very tiny. So that's, sometimes I use the rectangular tool, but now sometimes I also use the line tool. Just make sure it has a fill, and make sure you select this, so make sure it's shape and it has a fill, and then of course it has stroke. So when you're using the line tool, because sometimes the line tool can be funny, you draw out the line tool and then you won't see anything. And make sure you see this, make sure you're selecting the second one. when you do that, you get a better result. If you select the first one, at times you won't see anything. Even if it has a stroke and a fill, you won't see the line. So sometimes that line tool can be pretty funny. So if you use the properties panel, make sure it has a stroke, and then you can give it a color. And of course you can I can just increase the line, the stroke, but you can see the fill right there in the middle is not giving me the color that I want. So the line tool is sometimes can be felt really tricky. So, but you can just play with the line tool and give it a fill, a stroke, and give it a fill, and make it as tiny or as thick as you want. So like I said, sometimes I use the rectangular tool. I'll just draw out a rectangular, and then I'll give it a very small thickness, and then I'll get the same result. So let's type in mazes, puzzles, word games, and more. So let's copy that. Control C or Command C to copy that, and Control V or Command V to paste. Then I can reduce the size, make it 2 lines by putting a break after games, and I can change the font to Playfair medium, and I can increase the size and then check. So the move tool, then you move, you can maybe move that a little bit, and and I'm done. So I need to select the rectangular tool and then draw it to rectangle, and this is where we will add the author name and the author details. So I'm going to double click on that and then sample this color, and on that I'm going to add the author name, Nicholas Newman, and I'm going to select the type tool and then click enter or return, and then paste, Control V or Command V to paste, and then I'm going to sample the white color, and then the font, Montserrat font. I use this font a lot. I like the font, and this is the font that I use sometimes when I'm creating a sales page for my website. It looks good on a website, and it looks good when it comes to design. So the character panel, let me make sure this is is all caps, and reduce the size to something like that, and we are almost done. So I could just move things around, but the most important thing is we have done justice to the title, puzzles, and then we created shapes. Then we give it different colors. Since we're dealing with kids, so when you're dealing with kids, then you should play around with different colors for shapes, for whatever images. So just combine different shapes together, use different colors, and you can have something like that. So this looks good, and I think this is the end of this this video. So I'm gonna save as, and I'm gonna save as children's book cover. I'm gonna save as a PSD, then I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So let's save as a JPEG, save as, and save as a JPEG, and we are done. So there are so many other designs that you can do when it comes to, so you can just take a look at other designs all over the internet, and you can do something like this. So this is something, it could be better though, but it looks good. So this is the end of this design, and we are going to go to another one on the next video. we are going to design a business or marketing book cover. And I hope you like this video. On to the next video.